Hi, and welcome to the Home Lift Guy. Today, we're going to be covering the most important question when it comes to home elevators. How much do they cost? And more specifically, how much they cost in India. Over the past 10 years, I've consulted clients on which home lift to install all around the world, including India. And India has always kind of stuck out as being that one market with the widest range of prices. You can get initial quotations for as low as 3 lakhs, going all the way up to 60, 65, 70 lakhs. And while both of these numbers are extremes, today I'll help you figure out what are the exact price ranges you should be looking at and what type of home lift is best for you. The first thing to know is that the home elevator market is kind of like the car market. You have a wide range of brands, of models, all of which come at a different price point. You're going to have your very affordable models from Maruti, your mid-range from Ford or GM, and going all the way up to your BMWs, your Audis, and even your Ferraris. Each of these, of course, comes at a different price point, and that price is mainly driven by two factors. The first one is design, and the second one is safety. Compare a BMW and a Volkswagen. Not only does the BMW look a lot better, but if you crash them together, the BMW is going to escape pretty much unscathed. The Volkswagen, not so much. And what's interesting is, the same exact thing applies to home elevators. Specifically, you can identify in the Indian market about 4 types of categories of home elevators, all of which have their specific price point. These are your coffins, your commercial elevators, your imported home lifts, and your luxury home lifts. Now in this video, I'm going to go over each and every category, explain the pros and cons, give you examples of brands that operate in this segment, and most importantly, give you the price range for each one. Alright, so let's get started. First up, the coffins. This is by far your cheapest model of elevators. It's the car equivalent of your neighbor building his own car, and he uses the cheap materials, and he doesn't have to respect all of the safety guidelines, and he's able to get you a car for 1/3 of the price of the cheapest car you can find. And yes, it has 4 wheels, and it runs on a road, but it's not exactly a car. And this is really the biggest problem with this category, the complete lack of safety. It doesn't help that the elevators don't look that good anyways, because again, you're cheapening out on materials and just looking for something that brings you up and down. But often you'll find that the real cost of this elevator is much, much worse, as you can see here. In fact, they're so unsafe that the name of this category is kind of an insider joke in the industry, that the lift, when it crashes, can save you money on the coffin because you're already in it. Needless to say, I really don't advise buying these type of lifts, but they do come cheap. Usually, for a coffin, you're looking at a starting price of from 4 to 7 lakhs. Now, that doesn't include the shaft or any of the additional costs that you might find, like transportation, installation, additional civil works for the pit or the machine room. And while even when you add all of that up, it remains still pretty cheap, I would still never recommend clients to choose these kind of lifts because the level of safety that they have is just not there. Personally, I've run into quite a few coffins in India and abroad, and every single time I've taken the stairs. Now for the second category, and this is really the category from which you want to start considering lifts that you might take for your home, because the level of safety starts to be acceptable. I've named this category commercial elevators, because what it really is elevators that are usually meant for buildings that are then being placed inside of homes. It's all the brands that people are familiar with, Koni, Schindler, Mitsubishi, and these are all very good, very reliable lifts. However, they're named commercial elevators for a reason. When it comes to design, they look like a commercial elevator. It's very industrial, it doesn't look very nice. And when it comes to the safety itself, all of these brands, to cut costs, have moved the manufacturing over to India. And while that's a great thing from a cost reduction perspective and passing on those savings to the customer, localizing production also has a bad side effect, which is these firms no longer need to respect the safety standards of their home countries, specifically the European Union or the United States, and instead can just adopt the Indian safety standard, which is a little bit more lax and a little bit not as safe. Now, compared to coffins, these are still a world ahead in terms of safety, but they aren't the safest things out there. This is especially true when they start installing in homes because all of these lifts are traction lifts. And the way a traction lift works is you need a big reinforced concrete shaft in which to hold the lift. But when you're looking at shafts inside of homes, especially in India, they tend to be made out of brick or of concrete that is not up to the standard required to really hold the weight of that lift. And over time, that means that your lift is becoming less and less safe to use. Moreover, because these are traction lifts, they also require a huge pit, we're talking 6 feet deep, and then a machine room, which is almost an additional floor above just to hold the motor that powers your lifts. So if you've planned for both a pit and a reinforced concrete shaft, these are probably the right solution for you, and they'll cost you anywhere between 10 to 14 lakhs, not including the shaft and all the civil works. And if you go for some premium finishings, which I know Mitsubishi does in India quite well, then you're probably looking more around the 18 to 20 lakh range. Now, if you're a customer who didn't plan a reinforced concrete shaft, or who has no space for a pit or a machine room, or who just wants something that looks a little bit nicer than an industrial lift, that's where this third category kicks in. And this is usually the category that I recommend to about 95% of my clients: the imported home lifts. Here, we're starting to look at companies who are specialized in home lifts and home lifts alone. These are companies like Cebis, like Aritco, like Kalia, like ThyssenKrupp Access, and all of these companies have built a product that is specifically designed for the home. Now, what does that actually mean? It means these products are usually pitless, they're machine roomless, they're very small in terms of footprint, so they can easily fit in smaller shafts or in the middle of your staircase or in a corner of your living room or even outdoors. But they also maximize the standing space available, so even a small lift can usually carry 3 to 4 people. They also operate on one-phase power, which is super important if you don't want to go through that ridiculously complicated process of applying for 3-phase power within your home. And finally, they look good. They fit in with your home's aesthetic. They usually come in all glass shafts or 3 sides glass or 2 sides glass depending on the company. Not everyone can do a 4 sides glass. And they generally have lots of options on colors and finishing so that you can really match your lift to your home's aesthetic. Now, when it comes to the price, because these are imported either from Sweden or Italy, which are the 2 European countries that really specialize in home lifts, the price tends to be a lot higher. For an imported home lift, you're looking at 20 to 35 lakhs, and that range is usually dependent on how many floors you have within your house. The taller the lift, the more expensive. But the thing is, with these lifts, not only are you getting a better design that better fits your home, but you're also getting a European level of safety. All of these lifts have to conform not only to the Indian safety regulations, but also to the European ones, and these are among the strictest elevator safety standards in the world. The biggest advantage of the imported home elevator? Peace of mind. And finally, we have the fourth category: luxury home lifts. When it comes to safety, these are essentially the same as imported home lifts, and the difference is purely on aesthetics and functionalities. Think of it as comparing a top-of-the-range BMW and a Ferrari. Both cars are awesome cars, but with the Ferrari, everything is a little bit better. These luxury lifts usually come with Wi-Fi controlled lighting, custom laser-etched designs, super premium finishes like wood, leather, or even carbon fiber. I mean, you name it, these lifts have it. These lifts are gorgeous, and as far as I know, there are really only 3 of them on the market. There's the Cebis Limited, the Aritco S-Lift, and the Cebis Galaxy. Now, if you can afford these lifts, I highly recommend it just because they're so beautiful, but they are extremely pricey. For these, we're looking at 35 to 60 lakhs per lift. If you don't have that kind of money, again, the best choice, and the one that I recommend to 95% of my clients, is the imported home lifts, which have the same exact level of safety and a design that already is much better than anything you can find on the commercial lift market. So that's my summary of home elevator prices in India. Did I forget any brands that you think should be included, or one on which you want specific prices? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, please subscribe to my channel, or better yet, go to my website or to my Quora page where you'll find all the information you need. See you soon, the Home Lift Guy.